See, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson had a problem. He was 9 times, but the problem was that he knew who did it. Everyone knew who did it, but he couldn't do anything about it.
Welcome back to FITTI, and today we're going to be taking a look at these creepy TikTok videos. If you guys like the video, make sure to like the video. If you like the chain, check the link down in the description. It says 75% of you guys are not subs, so make sure to sub up. And this is a special announcement. I got a vlog video coming soon, so make sure you guys check that out. Told y'all to sub, man. We're looking at way more than just TikToks here, bro.
Would you ever lie down and nap in this earthquake bed? What you see here is a bed that's earthquake proof. It can sense when an earthquake is happening, and it's made out of strong metal to protect you. It actually drops you inside the bed in the event of an earthquake. It'll automatically close you in and trap you inside with food and water on the inside as well. By the way, if your phone is running low on storage or your battery life sucks, this app helps fix both those issues with the press of a button. And you can get it right here. So comment and let me know if you would ever get one of these beds.
He said, what, an earthquake bed? I mean, if I was in a place where earthquakes are common, then for sure. But since I'm in New York where earthquakes are like super rare, I don't think I need it, if I'm being honest.
Most dangerous places where you should never swim. Number 1. Lake Karachay. Located in Russia, Lake Karachay is the most polluted place on Earth. The water here is so contaminated with radiation that it could kill you within an hour. Number 2. Lake Victoria. It's the largest lake in Africa. Each year 5,000 people die here because the lake has its own isolated weather system, and it can go from sunny and bright to stormy without any warning.
She murdered her mother on Facebook Live moments after this video was taken. What makes this case even more tragic is that this woman showed plenty of signs that her mental health was declining. It all started on January 7th, 2024, when 28-year-old Donatson Beltran was arrested after failing to stop during a traffic stop. The next morning, Donatson was released, and her mother, 55-year-old Olivia Beltran, arrived to the police station to speak to an officer and see how she can retrieve Donanson's car because it was impounded. While the mother spoke with the officer, Donatson began recording herself, and if you look closely, she's actually holding a pocket knife right in front of the officer.
We like the sticker with the little eyes. That was really cute. I like that detail. So I'll tell you. So I'm getting the wheels up front. Go out that way. And then.
So the officer doesn't even realize that she's waving this knife around, and what's sad is that had he noticed this, maybe Olivia would still be alive right now. Olivia and Donatson then drove to her apartment, and this is when Donatson took out her phone, started recording this, and then posted it on TikTok. During this video, Donatson is making no sense at all, and she's actually hurting her mother's ear, and her mother is telling her to stop. And then she tells her mother that she's gonna make sure that she sleeps tonight forever. But not just that, she also tells her mother that she's going to be her first.
Nancy me está lastimando, pellizcando mi oreja. No me pellizques con tus uñas. Okay, you're my first.
But hours after these videos were taken, Donatson brutally murdered her mother while on Facebook Live in her apartment balcony. It was said that many people, including close friends and family, saw the live, but it was immediately taken down. Donatson was charged, and she pled not guilty by reason of insanity.
If I'm being honest, all I got from that video is that you need to be careful of who you get involved with. Because imagine, like, there's so many stories of girls just, you know what I'm saying? Because if she could do that to her own mom, like, imagine you're her man's, bro, and you did something. Hell no, dude.
You won't believe this crazy discovery about 9/11. Everybody knows that on September 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers in New York City were struck by 2 airplanes, and both towers collapsed to the ground. Thousands of people were killed, and the damage was devastating. However, in 2010, workers excavating the crash site discovered something very strange. They discovered the remains of a 30-foot-long wooden boat that was buried underneath the 9/11 rubble. The question soon became, how did a shipwreck end up 22 feet beneath the World Trade Center? Scientists began to research and analyze the wood that was found from the ship. And in 2014, they were able to conclude that the ship was built around the 1770s. Around the same time as the Declaration of Independence. And it's believed that the ship was sailing through Lower Manhattan where it sunk. And as New York City began to grow, the city of Manhattan expanded right over the top of the ship.
Adorable animals that can kill you, part 3. The poison dart frog. If you ever see a vibrant, colorful frog in the wild, especially in a warm climate, even though it's pretty, don't get close to it. Incredibly tiny in size, only about 2 inches long. Poison dart frogs are widely considered to be the most poisonous animals on the planet. Their poison secretes from under their skin, and it contains enough to kill 10 men in a single hit, and there's no anti-venom for it. The dolphin. In 1994 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, a localized dolphin who was oddly well known for being particularly friendly to women attacked 2 male swimmers. Witnesses claimed the mammal seemed incredibly aggressive and butted into both men several times. Alarmingly, this caused severe hemorrhaging in one of them, and he died soon after due to his injuries. They're cute creatures, but extremely intelligent and are not to be ticked off.
It's one of those pictures. One of the pictures where you don't see it at first, right? This photo comes out of Wisconsin State University. It's from 2012 and it was taken by Aaron Silva. What looks like just an abandoned hallway, if you look very close to the back left, you'll see it. The outline of a person who had been watching him from around the corner. For context, this was a very common tradition at this school. A lot of people would dare each other to go inside the abandoned infirmary that was just off campus. You go inside using just a flashlight and whoever stays in the longest eventually wins. But Aaron was never going to make it out. After more than an hour had passed, his friends eventually became concerned and they go in looking for him, where they found him and described him as cut from the mouth down to the center of his chest. This was a hugely disturbing case for police, but they eventually do retrieve his phone and they zero in on this picture, a picture which they believe shows who might have done this to Aaron. And if you increase the brightness, you can see the outline even better.
Imagine running into a stranger in the middle of the woods. They then inject you with a paralytic agent, aka paralysis, and you now have 20 minutes to not only escape the forest and this serial unaliver, but before your body shuts down. I was scrolling through Netflix the other day and I saw a movie called Don't Move and I said, this looks pretty interesting. Now yes, it is your typical chase horror movie where you don't really know the killer too much, but you know just enough. And I'm not gonna lie, for a Netflix solo movie, I thought it was pretty good. One of the reasons that I loved it so much was we haven't seen a serial unaliver use something like paralysis in a very long time, especially in a decently budgeted horror movie. Now the craziest part is you get to see every step and every evolution of the paralysis taking over your body. First it starts with your hands, then it goes to your legs, then your whole body shuts down to the point of where you can't move. You can't even move your neck. And we actually see the dose is so big that you can't even speak. Now all in all, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is the greatest Netflix horror movie of all time, but I will tell you it was a pretty fun watch. The acting in the movie was pretty good, storyline and plot was pretty good, and like I said, it is your typical chase horror movie. But we do see a good portion of the unaliver as well. And like I said, for a Netflix horror movie, the way this movie ends, it's pretty crazy. All I can say is that this movie was a pretty good time, and if you have Netflix, it's worth a watch. Like and follow for more.
You know, I'm not the biggest movie guy, but that Netflix plot sounds very, very, like, good. That sounds like that could possibly be a good movie, so I might check that out. There's a lot of movies that come in these videos that I haven't checked out, but I feel like that one might be the one that I genuinely look at. If you guys have ever watched that movie, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments.
Controversial banned cartoons that were actually made, part 2. Popetown is a British adult animated sitcom that managed to produce a total of 10 episodes with everything in it from sexual jokes, corruption, and greed without ever being screened by the BBC, who commissioned it. Roman Catholics in the Catholic Church immediately protested it, causing not one episode but the entire series to be banned worldwide, also resulting in several fines. One Beer was an episode of Tiny Toons in 1991 that shows the Toons finding a beer and drinking it. The underage Toons Buster, Plucky, and Hampton then get wasted, steal a car, and start driving around. The episode then ends with them driving off a cliff only to hit the ground and die. Yes, this was a real episode that was made, and yes, if you look for it, it's available online and clips are available on YouTube. You're welcome.
You would think a kid's cartoon would not have someone drunk driving off a cliff, but apparently not.
These people evolved to live on the ocean. The Bajau people found on the waters of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines lived their entire lives on houseboats. It's understood they've retained this lifestyle for around 1,000 years. They spend most of the day diving into the ocean, hunting fish and other sea creatures. But here's where things get really interesting. They can hold their breath underwater for up to 13 minutes and dive as far down as 60 meters. Due to the pressure of the water that far down, some actually pierce their eardrums, which is actually really bad for them. Some of them go deaf. Now, the reason they're able to hold their breaths underwater for so long is because they evolved larger spleens in comparison to other humans, providing more oxygen to their blood. Their spleens tend to be at least 50% larger than ours. Isn't that interesting?
What is the creepiest twist ending from a horror game? This is my new series where we talk about some horror game twist endings that you might have never heard of. And today's ending is from a game called Embuscade. Now, of course, full spoilers ahead, but if you'd like to see this game for yourself, I have a full playthrough of it on my channel. The game starts with you playing as a homeless person in a dark and spooky alley. And we know this because of the sign asking for money right where you start the game. Unfortunately, times are extremely tough, and the game's singular mechanic is that you have to root through the trash to find food. As you walk through the empty town, though, you find a quarantine sign. Something's happened in this town. Is that why it's so empty in these streets? And wait a minute, there's blood too? What exactly happened here? Then you find a zombie outbreak sign and it all makes sense. There must have been an outbreak and we're one of the last survivors. Just then you hear a little girl crying and you think maybe we can escape together. We chase after her, we find her, it's okay, we're gonna be fine, let's escape. And it's then the truth is revealed. You're not homeless, you've just already turned into a zombie. And after your snack, you join the rest of them on the streets.
Go away. Don't come any closer.
If you liked Terrifier 3, here are some more Christmas-themed horror movies. In Misery, a famous writer is held captive by a crazy fan after a car crash. She locks him up and forces him to rewrite his latest novel. In Black Christmas, a group of sorority sisters receive disturbing phone calls from a killer over their winter break. Throughout the night, they are stalked and picked off one by one. In Frosty the Snowman, a group of children perform a ritual that brings the snowman to life. He unleashes a terrifying winter storm that threatens the lives of the children who summoned him. In Storm of the Century, a small town faces a crazy blizzard. A mysterious man shows up and demands a sacrifice in exchange for their survival. In The Lodge, two kids get stuck in a snowy cabin with their dad's new girlfriend. As they spend time together, strange and creepy events unfold that make them question their sanity and the girlfriend's intentions. In The Grinch, a sinister creature stalks a nearby town, terrorizes the townspeople as he steals Christmas. Follow for more and let me know if you want a part 2 because I have many more movies.
You won't believe the horrifying plot twist at the end of this story. So during the 1970s, a young couple living in Utah went on their first date. And the two of them were having a good time on this first date, but they could both tell that this wasn't really going anywhere between the two of them. It was pretty awkward between the two of them over the course of their dinner, but they decided to be friendly and just stick it out. It was getting to be pretty late at night, but right before the young couple left the restaurant to go their separate ways, the young man asked the young woman if she wanted to go on a late night hike with him in the Utah mountains. The young woman was kind of taken aback by him asking her to do this, considering the date didn't go too well. But he explained to her that he had gone hiking in those same mountains many times before and that there was nothing to be worried about. And so the young woman decided to agree to go on this hike with her date because she thought, what the heck, maybe this will spice things up. However, when the young couple began their hike in the woods, the two of them felt very off about things. As the two of them went deeper into the forest, things began to feel very eerie around them. Both of their heartbeats began to rapidly speed up, and the two of them kind of both thought to themselves that maybe they should turn back around. But since it was their first date, neither of them wanted to be the one to speak up and say, hey, I think we should go back, so they kept on walking forward. At this point, it was basically completely black in the forest. And then suddenly, the two of them heard some movement coming from some nearby bushes. And it was right at this point when the man stepped on something soft and squishy that was very different from the rest of the trail. And it was right at this point where the two of them just felt like they should get out of there, so they both left. Ironically, this scary experience in the woods led the young couple to become closer, and eventually a few years later, they got married. 10 years later, the married couple was making breakfast one morning while watching the news. And on the news this particular morning, they were interviewing a serial killer a couple days before he was sentenced to be put to death. And one of the questions that they asked him was if there was ever a time where he was almost caught years before he was actually caught by police. And surprisingly, the murderer said, well, yeah, there actually was this time where I was nearly caught in the woods. He went on to say that about 10 years ago, he was in the mountains of Utah trying to dispose one of his victims in the woods, when all of a sudden a young couple literally walked right into the crime scene. The killer said that the young man in the couple actually stepped on the body of his victim that he was trying to drag away into the woods. However, since it was so dark in the woods, the young couple couldn't really see their surroundings, so they just kind of turned around and left being spooked. The serial killer that the young couple unknowingly caught in the act was Ted Bundy.
It's hella crazy to me that the fact that they went into that woods and they both were creeped out made them actually get closer to the point where they got married. It's interesting. Imagine he was like, let's not do that. And then that would have never happened. But that's crazy because he could have also got caught by Ted Bundy. But apparently, you know what I'm saying? Ted Bundy already had his hands full that night.
What would you do if you were offered $9 million but you had to unalive your best friend? In 2019, 22-year-old Denali Bremer from Anchorage, Alaska had met a guy online named Tyler. Tyler was supposedly a millionaire from Kansas, and he fell madly in love with Denali after meeting her online. Tyler had promised Denali $9 million if she SA'd and unalived someone. If she were to videotape the crimes and send him photos of what happened, then the money would be hers. The two quickly formed a close bond, and within months, they began their plans. The thing was, Tyler was lying about who he was. His name was actually Darren Showmiller, and he wasn't a millionaire. He was just a regular guy living in Indiana. Denali had no idea that he wasn't who he said he was. Denali and Darren had exchanged numerous messages how this plan was going to work. Denali took no time to choose her best friend, 19-year-old Cynthia Hoffman. Denali had chose 4 of her closest friends, and if they were to help out with the plan, they would get some of the money, which included 2 juveniles who have not been named, and we have Caden and Caleb. On June 2nd of 2019, Cynthia had left her home to hang out with some friends. She failed to return home, so her father tried to report her as missing, but when he went to the police, they said that he had to wait at least 24 hours. Denali had called Cynthia's dad throughout the night, telling him how she hoped that Cynthia was okay, and since they were best friends, Cynthia's dad did not find this strange at all. A few days later, Cynthia's body was found in a river. She had suffered a gunshot wound in the back of her head. The police had investigated her death and put together details pretty quickly. Denali was then brought into the station for questioning. Denali had mentioned to investigators that all of the friends were playing a game where they all duct tape each other. Cynthia was first in the game, and she immediately knew it wasn't a game anymore when Denali had retrieved a gun and pointed it at her. That is when Caleb had grabbed the gun from Denali and shot Cynthia in the back of the head. Denali was excited what she had did to her best friend, so she immediately called Darren, and that's when she knew that she was tricked. Denali had led detectives to the others who had participated, and they were arrested within a few days. In February of 2023, Denali had accepted a plea deal and will spend at least 30 years in prison. In August of 2023, Darren had pled guilty, and he will be sentenced at a later date. As for Caleb, in November of 2023, he pled guilty to second-degree murder, and he is expected to be in jail for up to 75 years.
Like, why would you ever listen to someone online telling you I want videos and proof that you did this? Like, to me, I'd be sussed out. Like, this might be the CIA trying to set me up, honestly. But, like, I don't know. I can never fall for something like that because I know people online nowadays, they can easily lie about who they are, what they are, where they've been, where they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that, you just got to look at it and be like, yeah, nah. I don't even, honestly, if I was her, as soon as I heard that from him, I'd have blocked him. I'd have been like, bro, this kid's weird. Blocked.
These are the tallest statues in the world. Number 10, the Statue of Liberty in New York, one of the most well-known statues in the world. Number 9, the Guishan Guanyin at 99 meters. Number 8 is the Sendai Daikanon in Japan, which used to be the tallest statue in the world when it was completed in 1991. The Mother Ukraine statue at 102 meters is the tallest statue in Europe. Number 6, the Statue of Belief in India. At the 5th spot is the Ushiku Daibutsu, also in Japan. Next up is the Garuda Wisnu Kencana in Bali, Indonesia. Number 3, the Lake Yun Sekya in Myanmar. At second place is the Spring Temple Buddha in China at 208 meters. This statue is so huge that even its toes are taller than a person. And finally, in first place on this list is the Statue of Unity in India. It's currently the tallest statue in the world.
See, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson had a problem. He was 9 times, but the problem was that he knew who did it. Everyone knew who did it, but he couldn't do anything about it. The person who did his name was Kenneth. But why did he do it? Well, meet Ja Rule. Oh, you thought Drake and Kendrick had the craziest beef in hip-hop history? Nah, that was 50 Cent and Ja Rule. See, Kenneth is the most famous man that you've never heard of. See, Kenneth was the godfather of the streets. Everyone looked up to him, and a lot of people sold stuff for him. But Kenneth gets locked up. But when he gets out, he meets a guy named Irv Gotti. Irv Gotti says, I got a kid named Ja Rule. He can really spit. He says, we're doing rap stuff, forget the street stuff. Kenneth says, cool. But see, there was a kid named Curtis who didn't like that very much. See, Curtis was rapping too. Remember when I told you people sold stuff for Kenneth? He was one of those people. He didn't understand why they didn't have his back. But he said, you know what? I'm doing too much. Let me go meet Ja Rule first. So he goes to a video shoot for Ja Rule. He says, hey, I'm 50. Nice to meet you. I rap. Ja Rule says, no pictures. 50 says, no, I'm just saying hi. Ja Rule goes, no pictures. 50 Cent didn't like that very much. He goes home. He comes back. Kenneth watches him. He says, 50, come here. 50 goes, yes, sir. Kenneth says, look, kid, chill out. 50 says, he's disrespectful. Kenneth says, he's with me. Just chill out, please. 50 says, cool. He can't go over Kenneth's head. Everyone still respects him too much. So 50 makes a song about Ja Rule. He shows Kenneth before he releases it, though. Kenneth says, kid, he says, it's a good song. Just take out Ja Rule's name. You're doing too much. 50 says, okay. He releases the song. It's obvious he's talking about Ja Rule. He just doesn't say his name. Ja Rule doesn't like that very much, but it all comes to a head when him and 50 get booked for the same concert. Before anything could go down, though, Irv and 50's manager talked. They said, this is stupid. Let's get them in the room. Let's get them to talk. Irv goes to Ja Rule. Ja Rule says, but he says, I was in the street for real. I'm gonna show him. Irv says, no, we're just gonna go talk, Ja. You just gonna go talk, right? Ja says, They go to the meeting. Ja pulls up with a bat. 50, still cool as a fan. Goes, hey man, we're here to talk or not? Ja holding the bat, like, why you not scared? Who's street now, huh? Doing all that talking? Everybody like, Ja, come on. He's like, nah, it's done. It's done. He turns back around to 50 and sees a fist flying towards him. He go, oh, we not talking, huh? Yee! 50 hits him in his ting. A brawl breaks out. Kenneth hears about what happened. He goes, I thought I told them to chill out. So he calls a big official meeting. 50 Cent doesn't show up to the meeting. Leaves 50's side, including his manager. It's not looking good for 50. I forgot to tell you, he also came out with a song called How to Rob, where he talked about how he would rob everyone in the music industry, so no one in the music industry liked him either. He goes to a studio to record. Ja Rule shows up to that studio. They said, Ja, 50 Cent's upstairs. They go upstairs, and 50 Cent gets poked with something very sharp. Now here's where it starts to get wicked. Irv and everyone involved in 50 Cent getting poked get arrested for the situation. They said, how did the police know? A restraining order then comes out saying they can't be anywhere around 50. They ask for the paperwork, and 50 Cent's name is all over the paperwork. They, in a petty maneuver, print copies and start passing it around the streets. Now, in the streets, you don't want to be known as a snitch, so everyone is watching 50 very closely. One of his songs then gets leaked called Ghetto Quran. In this song, he's listing out every street dude by name, but the song could be seen as him showing homage to them. Kenneth didn't see it that way. Well, because Kenneth was in a little bit of trouble with the FBI. They find out, listen closely, that 50 Cent's song is in the court documents against him. See, the FBI wanted Kenneth for all the stuff he did in the past. He did his time, but in their eyes, not as much time as they wanted. So that's why Ashanti, Ja Rule, the Erder Inc. crew got in trouble for money laundering. It wasn't for them. It was for Kenneth. So all of this stuff combined, the snitching, the Ja Rule stuff that everyone hating 50, culminates to Kenneth telling Mike Tyson's childhood friend Daryl to go 50. And this isn't a secret. He got hit like I got hit, but he ain't breathing. The song Many Men by 50 Cent. Listen to the name he says before that line. He says his name. 50 gets, but he survives. Everyone knew Kenneth did it. The police knew Kenneth did it. But how the court of law works, you can't just pull someone in. So they get Kenneth for a bunch of other stuff. They were going after him anyway. No one would sign 50 to their label. Everyone hates him in the industry. So he goes with this dude all the way from the West Coast named Eminem, who didn't care about any of that. Dr. Dre says sign him. The rest is history.
Wow, that's an insane story. One thing I will say that would really cringe me out in that story was the fact that dude was like, I'll show him I'm gangster. I'll show him. I hate when people do that, bro. Like, no one cares. I promise you. Like, I don't know. Sometimes that gangster shit could be too emotional, bro. Like, I'm just like, dude, why are you caring if another man finds you gangster or not? Like, who cares? Get some money. But, nah, you know, one thing about 50 Cent, one of my homies back when I was in 4th grade, literally like years ago, he used to call me Fitty. So that's where I got my name from. He used to say 50 Cent, 50 Cent. And then I just dropped the cent and just said 50. So shout out to that kid for making my name. But anyways, if you guys like the video, remember to like the video. Thank y'all for watching. Let me know your thoughts about aliens in our waters. That's always one of the most interesting things that's going around right now, is the aliens in our ocean.
Thank you all